Welcome to Everstage's Go-To Masters Finance Fireside podcast. We interview the GTM and finance leaders from today's most dynamic companies. Their unique insights and hard-earned innovations and lessons are the stories that we bring to you weekly. Joining us today is Kapil Duggal, Head of Finance India at Traction Network Services. Hey Kapil, can you give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Venkat, for welcoming me on this podcast. I'm Kapil Duggal. I'm having overall 20 years of experience in finance and accounting domain. And right now I'm working as a director of finance with a company, Transaction Network Services, which is a subsidiary of Coke Global Solutions. So it's somewhere around $135 billion company. So my overall tenure is into finance and accounting only, and it has expanded. Like, we started with uh, record to report function, and then we expanded to learn like order to cash and procure to pay, how they are interlinked with each other. So overall, we know for any business how it runs, so there is a need of finance. So we we are typically taking care of the things at the back end in finance. You think about procuring an asset, making a payment to the vendors, or raising a billing to the customer and receiving of the cash from the customer, receipts from the customer. So it is all done at the back end by the finance and accounting team, and even the payroll of the employees, and uh, deciding about the financial planning and analysis, what will be the forecast budget for the coming quarter, year. So based on the previous trends and records, we plan for our budgets forecast. So overall finance includes everything what you think of for running a business. So that's what we are doing over here in last 20 years, which I have learned. And every day is a new learning for us. Only the ERP gets changed. Rest, most of the things remains the same in any of the organization you move on. So that's what we are into.
Yep, yep. Keeping the lights running. Uh, RevOps is almost like a similar role here, where we do everything to keep things moving. I think this is a cliched question that we asked almost everyone, but I think it also gives us a lot of perspective on, the person who's actually speaking, right? Uh, Moving on to my first question, you have moved from early finance roles, and now you lead large companies with multidimensional financial teams and operations. Like, what shaped your approach as you started from your earliest roles to here, and what were your key pivots that helps you function the way you do today? Like, what were the learnings along the way?
So initially, we were into one thing only. Like, if we are doing the journal entries, preparation of the pay and L balance sheet, and so this is what we thought that is our main business. But when you get to know about the upstream and downstream of the processes, like how they are interlinked and what is the impact of one thing done wrong on the other, so that's what we have learned. Like, by understanding from where the things are coming, where it is going, what will be the impact of those things, what we are doing, and what our stakeholders, our leaders are looking at. So once we look at that, okay, their perspective of looking into financial is that they want to know what are our exact numbers, where we are, where we want to be. So that shapes our career, that shapes our lives. Like, okay, we should learn this. So we have learned a very minute thing, then there is a lot more things to learn about. So every day is a new learning. This is what I mentioned. And if you start learning from every aspect of finance, and now we are working and assisting the engineering group as well in their headcounts, in their labor hours, in their productivity. So we are learning a lot as well. So I'm basically from finance, but we right now we are having a communication business wherein we have all the engineers. So we have learned that how numbers are deriving from them, and what is the impact if they're not submitting their timesheets, if they are lacking behind. So that's what we educate them, that okay, if you will not enter, then will be at backlog in terms of the productivity, in terms of our revenue numbers. So they should understand why we are after them. Once they understood, okay, then they will understand that, yes, because in most of the countries outside of India, so their basis of revenue is time. So time is money for them. If they will not be able to enter the time correctly for the correct project, they won't be able to get make revenue. So that's the key for that success.
Awesome. If I may ask, from the technical aspects, moving on from the technical aspects, you also now head teams. So, why did you learn the chops of building teams or like setting up a team in a certain way? Like, how do you go about figuring that out? Or where did you learn the skills for building strong teams that can help you run these programs?
So we worked as a junior member as well in the teams, and so what we expect from our leaders, we we know that when we worked under the leaders, managers, so what we expect from them, and that has shaped our career. That what we should also look into the employees. So first thing which I look into the candidate which I'm going to hire is virtue and talent. So if a virtue is there and talent is something which can be coachable, okay. If virtue is there in the candidate, definitely I'll go with that. So having said this, that virtue and talent. So if I'm asking 10 questions to a candidate and he's able to answer 7 to 8 questions correct, and he's not able to give me two correct answers, so I look at the virtue in the candidates, and on the basis of that, I select the candidates which are a good fit for my organization. So this is a great key for hiring any newcomer in my team. Okay, and and retaining them is also being critical for us, because since we have good team, and I would say the attrition rate is very low. If you ask me, like, I've hired 60 folks and only 2 to 3 have left in the past 2 years, and that too have left because of their personal exigencies, nothing to related to the organization. So that means we are keeping, and we are giving a free hand, because people know our visions. People know that we help each employee better understand and embrace team business vision and associated strategies and priorities, so they can make the greatest contribution to the organization. So that's the
It's a
key what I keep into while hiring candidates with virtue and talent.
Nice, nice, nice. That's a kick-ass stat, Kapil. So, moving on, like, what do you think, are the key requirements in migrating businesses from, US, Australia, or Singapore to, say, India? Like, what are the key things that you see in running the knowledge transfer or change management so that both sides feel, respected and the process actually improves net-net? Like, what are those things?
See, the transitioning a process from any country to here, India, is not easy task. Like, because we have to go through many uh, sub processes, and we have to ensure that there are do's and don'ts which we should make sure that each of our employee who is going for a transition make sure that they follow that those do's and don't. So so for transitioning a process, we have to be very sure that the team which we have hired is having a comparative advantage. That's one thing, is fully equipped with the knowledge what we are going to get from that. And since I mentioned in the beginning that the processes remains the same, the accounting US cap remains the same across the world. So we have to ensure that we have a right talent, we have right knowledge, we have comparative advantage, like maximize what your team and organization can accomplish by applying division of labor by comparative advantage to each employee makes greatest contribution relative to the contributions of others. So that's another thing what we look into it. Okay, and we keep on motivating our employees that see, because in transition it's not easy, because when we are transitioning, so something or the other will happen to the person from whom we are transitioning. So we have to keep them motivated. We have to keep them that, okay, you should know the art of getting things done. You should not stick that if you are stuck with somewhere, some issue or problem. So you should not be coming to me with only a problem. You should be coming to me with the solution as well, that, okay, I'm stuck here. So this is an alternative A, this is an alternative B. If you're coming to me with an alternatives that, yes, this is alternative which I thought through, then I can think that, okay, this person has applied his brain, his mind, and he's moving towards the direction of like weighing out that, okay, how should I proceed further? So that's the key, which I educate my team members, or the team who is going for the transitions, that we should take care of those things well in advance, rather than, I don't want people to be reactive. I want people to be proactive. If this will happen, what will be my plan B? And if plan B fails, then we should have our plan C ready. So that's the tactics we should follow.
Yeah. But in terms of just the broader thing, right? Do you have like a playbook for migration, or is it very, very specific to the project and you really can't do a playbook that says do this A, B, C, D, and you will have a reasonably smooth transition?
So we have initial ground rules like do's and don'ts, which I mentioned, and post that it is all random and people aware about what processes we are going to transition. We have the process maps with us. We educate that, okay, if this is a process, then you should be well aware about that, what will happen next. You should have your decision making box there. If yes, then this will happen. If no, then that will happen. So process maps are well prepared in advance, and we educate the team to go through those process maps, those learnings, those softwares which we are going to use in the future. So the basic training should happen at the ground level. We should not go blank there. So that training must happen, and then later on we go with that.
So let's move on to the next one. Uh, so coming back to the basics of finance. So when you talk about health, uh, which signals are indicative of a good health, or when do you know things are on track? Like what are you monitoring? Cash flow, AR aging, AR discipline, P&L reviews. Like how do you keep track of the health of finance, and what are your key metrics?
Okay. So just like a doctor can feel the pulse of the patient and let us know that whether he's having a good health or he's suffering from any medical illness. So similarly for finance folks, so we have a balance sheet, cash flow, and revenue, which we look into the business, and based on that, we decide that how we are performing. And we have our key performance indicators for the processes, like for O2C, we have different KPIs. For P2P, procure-to-pay, we have different KPIs. And similarly for record to report, we have, if I talk about O2C, which is like order to cash, so make sure that the billing must be done to each and every customer right on time. And once the billing is done, then we should expect the collection from those customers. And we keep a percentage of collection, like we should maintain like at least 65 to 70% what we are billing should be collected the following month based on the terms and agreement, the service level agreements decided with the customers. And once the collection is there, then we have the KPI that we should clear our receipts. We should match our receipts, what we have received from the customer, so that our open items with the customer should go low. So these are a few KPIs which we follow for O2C, and similarly for procure-to-pay. And in O2C, we also look into like the aging of our accounts receivable, that it should not exceed 90 days. If it is exceeding 90 days, then we should have a proper commentary for those, and that requires further investigations and analysis by the respective teams. So So similarly, we have in procure-to-pay that we look at few KPIs that as and when we have the agreements agreed with the vendors that they should be paid well on time. We should not be having any vendor, and we follow due diligence for setting up a vendor in our system. So there is a detailed process which goes through it, and there is a good segregation of duties amongst each process, that we should not give control to one person. So the different teams working on different parameters, and they're ensuring that we are following the well protocols which are set up for all the processes, I would say. And adhering those processes will help us maintain our good audit trail as well. We should have good control of the process. We should not be missing on the numbers, either payables, receivables, and record to report team make sure that the billing payments done is well within timelines, and they are making sure that they don't have to accrue something which is not been paid, something which has not been received. So based on their judgment, they did their accruals, they did their entries for adjustments for the payrolls, different vendors, PO accruals. So record to report have their different KPIs that they have to close the process. Their P&L should be booked by what they do, and then they should work upon the closure of their balance sheet. So that's what we follow for the three processes what we have.
Yeah, and probably leading on from here, right? So when you join a new organization or when you just enter in, like where do you see the most practical wins for you? Like what are those things that you actually look at within the R2 or P2P and O2C workflows that you just spoke about? Like what are
Mhm.
your first practical wins in a new organization?
First, I look at their close calendar, uh, look at their the accounting books, the trend, how we are closing our books, whether it's closing on time, looking at the accrual balances, the reason for the accruals. If there are high accruals, that's a concern. If there are genuine accruals, then it's legitimate to have few accruals as well. And how we are collecting from our customers, what is aged AR report stating to me, if and further what is the outstanding accounts payable ledger showing it to me, and overall picture of the balance sheet, how it sounds from last 1 year, how it is progressing, the revenue is progressing, the collection is progressing, the net profit is progressing, what is bottom line. So these are the things which we take into consideration while joining any organization, that okay, if they are lacking behind the close process, which is very lengthy, then we should work upon reducing the close process. That we should have maximum six days, right from day -2 to day plus 4. We follow that terminology because D, we call it like last working day of the
Yeah, yeah,
business, and D -2 to D plus 4. So
yeah.
this is what we basically look into it. And as I told you, like the accruals, how the revenue is flowing, whether it's on an upward trend, that's good. What was it compared to the last year, last month? We do a comparison of last month to last year as well. So we get to know that business is in good shape, it's progressing. And the main key thing is that if we are doing well, then if we invest again into the business, then that will give us more returns in the future.
Yeah, the way I hear you is you probably look at all three, and you also go down to like the fundamentals of it, and like at the basic level you check for the basic metrics. Awesome. And like the flavor of the season is obviously AI, right? For you in finance, and I've spoken to a few finance folks, and it's generally not super aggressive thing to adopt AI in finance because the numbers are very sensitive and stuff like that. So there's always a little bit of care and caution. But to you personally, how is AI, helping you, or like what is your thoughts on how it could help you or your team move smarter or faster without losing the human judgment?
Yeah. So let me tell you that we have advanced systems with us, and we have a bot like. We have a parameter set up like if this passes 1, 2, 3, 4 categories, then it will automatically come into the processing queue. Okay. Similarly to that, we have the cash receipts as well. Like if the customer name, the invoices are mentioned, the amount is mentioned, so it will automatically matches with the receipts and the customer invoices open. And similarly, we have automate channels like we have recurring channels for the amortization, depreciation. So we just have to click a button and we do a prelim dip and then a final dip. So we look at the numbers by running it a prelim dip that, okay, this is good. It is matching with the last month. If there is any addition, okay. If there is a variation, then whether the asset has been purchased or disposed of during the last month. So these are few automations which we already have in the system, which will help us to like reduce the manual effort and we can contribute in more productive work.
Awesome. Awesome. So before we sign off, quick thoughts on what a new person getting into finance needs to take care of, or what the new person needs to think about or be conscious of. Coming from you, who's a veteran in finance with so many years of experience, would be quite useful to our listeners.
Yeah. So if a person joining a finance team, I expect him to learn the process where he is getting into it. Okay. We have had few apprentices in our team and they are just fresh college pass out. And the message I used to give to them that whatever you are doing is just 1% in the finance. So if you learn this, then you have to go to the so that you learn 2%, 5%, 10%. Never settle down that okay, you know each and everything in the finance. So there are a lot many things which you should look into it. So be there is a term called self actualization. Okay. You if you sit at the end of the day and you will realize what you have learned today, what is your self actualization, then you will get to know that where I'm standing. Okay. Don't compare yourself with the person who is below you. So you always look at your leaders who give you that knowledge of progressing towards achieving more and more results.
Completely resonate with that. Well, that brings us to the end of this podcast. Thanks for your time, Kapil. Really appreciate your valuable insights on the different questions that we had a chat on. Well, that brings us to an end of an insightful episode of Go to Masters. Big thanks to Kapil for sharing his experiences and valuable insights. Remember, you can tune in to us every week and learn more about game changers driving hypergrowth companies across the globe. Go to Masters is brought to you by Everstate, your trusted partner for transforming the way businesses handle sales compensation. I'm your host, signing off.